Right.
Well, welcome today, Ged Maybury. It's such a pleasure to have you here. You'll be speaking at the Logan Writers Festival, and I am so excited for your talk in particular. You have such a brilliant stage energy. So please tell me a little bit about how you got started as an author.
How did I get started by an author? Well, I met a play school presenter in the main street of Dunedin in 1979, and we fell in love, and I joined her theatre company, and I started writing scripts for all of her little plays and our plays. And so I became a playwright for children, and we did about 10
Wonderful.
things in the next 2 or 3 years. And then jump the story forwards, she decided to go to Sydney and try her hand there as an actress, and did quite well. And I'm sitting around in Sydney. I had suddenly an idea for a stage play, and then I immediately realized it would be a better a television series for children. I wrote the first episode. Fast forward the story, I'm back in Christchurch, and my soon-to-be ex-wife suggested I take my script to a particular character who was a producer in New Zealand television at the time, Rex, and he loved it. And by pure chance, he happened to have someone in his office that day, and he flicked my script across the table, and she said, "This is wonderful. We could do a three-way deal. He could write this, and then we could turn it into a book, and then the publishers will publish it." And that publishing company was Ashton Scholastic, as it was called in those days. It's now called Scholastic. It's worldwide. That book went on to break the New Zealand record for first print run for a first-time author, and 42,000 copies they were going to do. And
wow.
in 4 different countries, and it had 2 reprints, and it got my career going. So I became a writer purely by accident. I never dreamed, I didn't live the dream. I didn't have my hopes. I didn't try again, keep submitting, blah, blah, blah. Didn't do any of that. I skipped it all.
Total serendipity. Oh my gosh.
Incredible serendipity. There's more to the story, but I won't bore you all with it right now.
So what books have you got out at the moment?
Pardon? What
books have you got out at the moment? We'll go into your plays in a minute.
Okay. What books have I got out? Heck, it's 28 books. It's just tell people to go onto what's it called? That thing called the internet. Yes, go onto the internet and just dial my name in, because I'm the only Ged Maybury in the world, and you'll find all my books very quickly. There's a huge list of them on Wikipedia, and there's 15 digital books currently available via numerous outlets. But I suggest going to Rakuten Kobo, because they have the best listing. It's easy to follow it through, and there's little promotions for each book, so you can sort of get a quick sort of synopsis of what you're getting into very quickly and easily. Most of those books are for children, but 6 of them are a science fiction steampunk series that I spent the last 10, 12 years writing. It's called Across the Stonewind Sky. It is huge, 80,000 words, 6-book series. And I encourage people who are at all interested in steampunk to dive into that, please.
So a lot of people don't understand what steampunk is as a genre. What is it from your perspective?
It's science fiction, but it allows the writer to sort of just dip right back into the Victorian era. Use anything you like, plus throw into any science fiction elements you want. So you want ray guns, sure. If you want to go to the moon, yes, that happened in the Victorian era. Steam-powered spaceships, yep, all good. Bring in some horror elements and interdimensional traveling. You can do anything you like. You're writing science fiction, but you're doing it in the Victorian era. That's the big thing.
Excellent. That's, that's one of the most enchanting eras as well. Everything between the Victorian and the Georgian seems to be somewhere of a bit of a favorite for many authors. And it's one that we love to see the visuals of as well.
Yes. Do I want my books to be a movie? Yes. Do I want Peter Jackson? Yes. But, you got to work at these things. Believe it or not, I presented a proposal to the guy who runs Weta Workshop. I handed it to him in person. This is a guy that won the Oscar for all of the effects. And he read it and he considered it. But apparently, Weta Workshop are already working on a steampunk movie, and they turned me down. However, interestingly enough, we've never yet seen this movie, so I don't know what's going on there. And that was about 10 years ago.
Might be worth reapproaching them.
Yeah. I like your thinking, man.
Well, that's why I am the one that bridges the gap between the business and the arts in Logan at the moment.
And she does it well. She's excellent. Everybody just talk to that woman. She'll get you somewhere. I'm sure of it.
Hopefully it's in your books in the hands of
We all
producer.
try. We do our best. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And what about your children's books? What topics have you written on?
I started doing science fiction. I did a time travel story, which is the one I just mentioned. It was called Time Twister. Time Twister. Interestingly enough, a computer game came out with the very same name about 10 years later. Whatever coincidence happened, that I kept going with the science fiction thing. I got into the finals of the New Zealand Children's Book Awards with my fourth book called The Triggerstone, which was an interesting story set in the present, but it dips back into the past and explores an events that happened over 100 years ago in a particular little village in a fictional part of New Zealand. So there was an element of steampunk in that already. More science fiction. I took people out into outer space, into the future, great intergalactic warfare situations and stuff, but with a twist. And then I switched to comedy, and I did quite a good series called the Horse Apples series. Horse Apples basically means horse. And, yes, there's a polite way of saying, meadow muffins.
Oh no.
And it sort of involves, I guess it was based on my own childhood experiences of sneaking down to a country road one day and throwing clods of dirt at passing cars and then running away. But on this occasion, these boys, for various reasons, end up throwing great handfuls of wet, sticky horse poop at a passing van, which turns out to be the wrong target. And it was a TV crew who was actually looking for a couple of boys to play in the television series. And anyway, they told a lot of lies at the same time and got into some deep horse doo-doo for all of these lies. And there's a little romance story in there too. So that's the beginning of the Horse Apple series. And I follow these two boys, Randy and Piho. They're like Dumb and Dumber team. And through the numerous adventures where they're desperately trying to make money without actually working hard, but inevitably end up working very hard and making no money and getting into some deep and it's a lot of fun. It's a very comedy series, very popular. I would love to see that as a series too. I think it would work well.
It sounds like it's nearly like literary slapstick.
Literary slapstick, yes. The slap and splat of horse was very prevalent in that story. A later story involved some piggy poo and rotting seaweed. I don't want to sort of give away too much here, but it's a great series. I'm really loving doing it. And the fourth book has finally come out, and it's called The Dinosaur Apples, where I bring my two Kiwi characters over here to Australia, and I drop them into some deep because nothing works better than dropping your characters into some deep doo from page one.
Is that not the whole point of being an author?
Absolutely, yes. I think you put it in a nutshell there. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
The toilet bowl.
Watch them try and scramble out of the place they're not meant to be.
Exactly, yeah. Well, apparently a very famous science fiction writer deliberately intentionally did that with one of the main characters. The opening scene is he's up to his neck, and I won't go on. It might be children watching. They might want to read it.
Yes, definitely. Well, everyone should still grab a copy of all of your books because they are fantastic. I've heard you read them at different writing groups before, and there is something very akin to Terry Pratchett, where there's this beautiful flow of language and nearly like this experimentation of the words that you use that really works brilliantly.
Oh, thank you. You're flattering me, and flattery gratefully accepted.
It's really
true.
Charming.
It's true. It really is true.
My mum, when I talk, she's hooked on Terry Pratchett at the moment, and she was like, "Oh, I'll come to the Writers' Festival and I'll see what other books are there," because she's absolutely cut off social media so that she can read more. And and I said to her,
she needs to be famous for this. We could do a YouTube video about her.
As long as it's not her social media. But
Somebody has to lead the charge. Let's get back to reading. Real books. There's nothing better than a real book in your hand, I believe.
Your steampunk series was the next one that I recommended to her.
Good.
It's just got that delightful language to it. So I really appreciate
There's a big element of comedy streaking through that story too.
That's important though. There's so much out today and people don't really understand how to write comedy well. And I feel like that's something that really takes a bit of practice to nail down in the written word. Comedy can be very tricky. You can be very crass with it, and you can be very sophisticated with it. You can be very dry with it, and you can be very dark with it. But knowing how to write it is a very important skill on its own. I feel like that's when you become a master of language.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I guess I'm sort of on my way. I'm honestly, I don't quite know how I do it. I believe that brilliant writers are born, but they can develop too. That it's innate, but it can be encouraged. It can be brought out through a good teacher. And I hope that during the writers' weekend, we can. I can personally meet some of the future writers, because every time I do a workshop, there's always somebody there who has an extraordinary native-born talent, and it's just like, I can't teach this person anyway. I can't teach them anything. I've already got it, but I'll just nod and smile and pretend that I am, and encourage them to keep going. That's the miracle of music. Miracle of music. I'm not doing it. That's my other personality. He's over there. This is the miracle of writing, really, the miracle of literature. Some people have just got it.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us a bit about what you'll be speaking about at the Logan Writers Festival.
Just my written notes. I'm going to have to make something up here. I always speak about...
We have it on the program.
I always speak about the process of writing. And I start picking it apart because a lot of people will write off the seat of their pants on instinct. But it really helps to really look at how each sentence is working and what it's doing. So I actually teach a short course on basically what is the wisdom of Robert McKee. And he talks about the 5 elements of storytelling. He's a movie writer, but it applies to books too. And the point I make to all of my students, and I'm going to put it right here for free, write it like a movie. Write it like a movie. And I also use the idea of a stage play to get across the idea that you've got to keep the story happening. You've got to keep it on stage now. There's no room to stop and explain something. Just keep the story going. And that's the essential message that I can deliver to people. We have processes, we can break it down, we can examine our own work, and there's a couple of exercises we do in class that will nail these ideas into people. It's the best thing I can give you.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been absolutely delightful.
Thank you.
We will see you on the Friday of the 10th at the Logan Writers Festival. And I so hope that people come and collect all of your books because, like I said, they are absolutely delightful. I think that's really the word for them.
Thank you. I'll bring a few along. I've got a few spares that I can flog off for a few bucks.
Wonderful. And that's all it's about. Make sure that you bring an email
list. The rest
list.
of it is already sitting there on the internet. Just go and find it and click. They're dirt cheap and easy to bring down.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ged. This has been fantastic. We'll see you on the 10th and the 11th of September.
Looking forward. Absolutely. Going to be fun.